You are listening to the Starter Girls podcast with Jennifer Loading. Whether you are starting a project, starting a business, starting a brand, or starting a movement, we are here to talk about it. Starter Girls podcast is brought to you by Walt Mills, photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are in the Dallas or surrounding area and you're looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. All right, it is time to get this show started. Today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, my friends, I am super excited to welcome my guest on today, but I want to tell you a little bit about her before we bring her on. Jennifer Fleck serves as general counsel for an oil and gas services company. She started in politics in 2012 when she helped remove a graphic sex education program from Cy-Fair ISD in Houston. Jennifer stayed in that fight and brought her education issues at the state legislature, the State Board of Education, and various other statewide efforts. Most recently, she wrote 3 bills filed in the Texas 2019 legislative session regarding parental rights and protecting children from inappropriate content in the classroom. During the 2019 legislative session, Jennifer realized that our elected did not represent we the people, so she decided to run for office. Jennifer Fleck was a Republican candidate for Texas State Representative, House District 47. District 47 covers western Travis County, including a wide margin around Lake Travis and curls south to Onion Creek. Jennifer led in the March Republican primary and lost in the July runoff. She was suspicious of the reported election results, so she decided to investigate and analyze the election process. Upon discovering flagrant fraud and corruption, Jennifer filed an election contest in Travis County District Court. She believes in personal responsibility, and she believes that we must stand up for liberty. Jennifer is a mom to 3 grown children and has been married for 24 years. Wow. So welcome to the Starter Girls podcast, Jennifer. We're super excited to have you here.
Yep, my pleasure. Thanks
for
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of I guess maybe backpedal here a little bit and go back to how this all kind of came about for you, because this is just, I always feel like things like this they're never really kind of planned to happen. They just sometimes kind of sort of happen, and you never, you look at yourself and you think, how did I get to doing these kinds of things? So kind of tell us a little bit, maybe the inspiration behind this, how you led to where you are today.
I came to know the Lord in 1996 and soon thereafter started teaching Bible study at my church to middle school girls. And I did that. I've done that every week for a couple decades now. And so I definitely have a heart for teenagers, young teenagers. Some people are like, not middle schoolers, not me, any age but that's my sweet spot age. Love them so much. And then my kids were in private school, but I had lived in the same house for a long time. And my neighbors' kids went to public school. And I think mainly because I'm an attorney. And when you're an attorney, people think you can do everything.
Right.
It's like, I want a divorce. Can you help me? I owe a credit card debt. Can you help me? I got a ticket. Can you help me? And you're
right.
like, I don't do all those things. But I think that's really the reason, and we were friends. And so she came next door and asked me if I would look at a sex education program that they were starting in Cy-Fair. And so I did. And it was targeted toward middle school girls and boys, but 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was the target age of the program. And so I just really, not only had I raised my own children, but I really felt like I knew that age and what they were ready for and prepared for based on my weekly experience with other kids. And anyway, I watched it, and long story short, it was just too much, over the top, very graphic, and it set me on a path of activism, which wasn't my plan. But I just kept working and pushing and trying to find the people that could make decisions and make changes. And we had some successes and a lot of setbacks. And anyway, so that led me to the Capitol. And then I got involved in the legislature, and then I decided to run. And now I'm fighting election fraud. And yeah, it's like you said, it's one thing rolls into the next. And it feels bigger than what I'm able or capable of doing. But I just keep plugging along one day at a time.
I love that. So, and I just think that, when you're when you get into stuff like this, it's like you're right. It's like one thing leads into another. And the thing is that anything that you're doing, and it doesn't matter whether it's this or it's something else, anything that's worth fighting, there are leaders. And then I always say there are people that need the leaders. We need the people that stand up and can go forward and are willing to fight the fight and do those things. And so I think you bear this almost like this weight of everybody on you, but people need that. They need those people to stand up and fight those causes. And so I think that that's incredible. Going through, I guess maybe take us where you are now, because I know you just had your case go out on Monday. Am I correct? This week it started?
Well, it was supposed to start on the 31st.
That's right. Okay. 31st. That's right.
But on yesterday, the 24th or 5th of August, the 24th, I guess, of August, the trial court dismissed my case on mootness. It's sort of like a technicality. And so now I've filed an appeal. So okay. I'll be headed toward the appellate court hopefully next week, maybe the next week. So
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. You definitely are a fighter. I follow your.
I'm having trouble finding an ally that has more power and more authority than I do. So a lot of times I'll be on social media and I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I can't go anymore. Like, this is not working. Nobody cares. And like you said, the people are like, we care. We just feel helpless. They feel like they can't do anything. And so the unique things about me is that, one, I'm a candidate. And because I'm a candidate, I have what's called standing. So I can bring a lawsuit where the average voter can't. So there's voter fraud. Nobody has standing except for a candidate. So if I don't file a lawsuit, nothing happens. Nobody does anything about it. And then in addition to that, I'm an attorney. And so a lot of times these kinds of cases are just not affordable. I mean, the average person just doesn't have tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on legal counsel to get them through this process. And so both of those things put me in a unique position where I feel like I do feel somewhat of a weight on it. I feel the burden. Sure. And yet I just do one day at a time, if today I can't do it, I just pray, I go to bed and sleep. And the next morning I'm like, okay, let's go. Right. I'm ready.
I follow your social media stuff, and it's so interesting because, I'm a fighter. And so you always know when you meet people, and like, this is the first time we're actually meeting face to face on a screen, but I always know when there are those people that when you just can tell behind them, there's a fire back there. There's just something that if you tell them no, they're probably going to keep persisting anyways. And so I joke about this all the time because when I was growing up, and I've said this on podcasts before, my mom has always said to me, as a young child, that she would always tell me I couldn't do something because the minute she would tell me I couldn't do it, I would go out of my way to prove her wrong. And the odd, crazy thing about that is I have 3 kids like that now. And I'm like, how did that happen? It's like turned on me and backfired, So I love that because I think we need people like that, like I said, that are willing to do that and fight the cause. And, and it's amazing. You go to bed and you feel defeated, and then you always wake up the next day and you feel like you got this and you can put up another fight. So I admire you for that part of it. I want to ask you kind of, I guess, maybe a question, because I always feel like there's silver linings in this and we can find things in this that are really keeping us moving. So what do you love about what you get to do? Like, what is the part that is really just, keeping you there, keeping you there? You're not loving it lately.
I'm not loving it.
Not loving it lately.
I do. I think the people, like, take the leaders out, take the government out, take everybody who we perceive as those that are here to help us and be for us. I'm very distrusting right now, and I don't see much fight in our leadership. And so when I am encouraged by just I used to call myself a commoner. Lately, I've started calling myself a peasant. So when I have like fellow commoners and fellow peasants on social media, just like saying, come on, let's go get them. You can do it. we're with you. We're behind you. It means so much to me. I have people approach me in public who I've never met, and will just come up to me and encourage me. And they're like, "Are you Jennifer Fleck?" And it's just fun. And I give them a hug, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, nobody has hugged me in 4 months." And that makes me want to cry. And so, and then I don't wear a mask. So I go out and I don't have a mask on, and I'll have people kind of walk around me, and I see them out of my peripheral vision, and they're looking at me, and then they'll like take their mask off, and they'll kind of get close to me, and they're like, "Are you not wearing a mask?" And I'm like, "Nope." And I just so crave all of us like uniting and banding together and just deciding that we're not going to do this anymore. And so all of that's very encouraging. I love it.
That's awesome. See, I told we can find some silver lining in there. There's always something in there. Sometimes we just have to dig it out, you know? When you're in that valley of just having to fight battles every single day, you know, I talk about this all the time because we all go through different things, and it's like you have to dig so deep to find those like things that are just like, what is it that's keeping you moving through all of that? So I want to ask you kind of a mindset question, because I'm sure you checked out my podcast. I'm all about mindset and empowerment and all of that. And so I always like to ask this question when I've got somebody that's just really grinding on something here. When you are going after something, which you're doing right now, what does that mindset look like for you? Like, what does that look like on a daily basis for you, that fight?
It's a bit of stubbornnness, and I know that sometimes is not a good quality, but I think it can be useful. I think it requires a lot of fights require just a stubborn persistence and a resilience and a no matter what, you're not going to beat me kind of attitude. And it's pretty intense. It's not, I mean, my family is like, "Mom, can you please chill out?"
I get that from mine too. A lot.
Yeah, it's an intensity. It's an intentionality. It's being very focused. But then also remembering to relax. I mean, I definitely, at the end of the day, I have to just try to turn it off and relax and get some peace and rest. And so I don't know, intensity. I don't know.
Hey, it's all good. And so how old are your kids now, by the way? You've got 3. How old are they?
I have a 30, a 21, and a 15, almost 16.
Okay. So yes, you do. You've got a couple grown kids in there. Yours are, so they're close. Mine are 23, gonna be 19 and 16. And so I can definitely resonate with you on the chill out mom. I get it from all 3 of them. I'm like one's in college, one's moved out. The 16-year-old is still at home, and I keep threatening I'm going to send him off somewhere. I'm like, just stop it. I'm going to like get rid of you, make you go stay somewhere for a while with your sister. So I get it.
No, they want to send me off. They want to send me off.
Well, he tries to tell me that too, but he's going to not have any money. It's going to be quite a problem if he doesn't have his income source, you know? You can't send the mom off when you need the money, you know? So I love it. So with this current case that's going on right now, ideally, what would you like to see happen here? Like, what would be the ideal situation with what's going on at this moment?
So in the beginning, it was about not getting a legal election. And I really, more than anything, I think it wasn't just important to me. I felt like it was important to the voters, like voters who think that their vote counts. Like I used to think that my vote was counted. And so I don't think my objective has changed at all. If someone came to me today and said, "Jennifer, if you'll concede your race and you'll shut up, we will fix the election offices throughout the state and make sure that all the voters in the state get a legal and fair election," I would do that. So my goal, and it's a lofty goal because so far I've had very little success, but my goal is that all of our votes would count. And I think November is a very, very important election, and not just because of the president, but because if anybody's watching Austin, it's crumbling. We need new city council members that don't want to defund the police. just little things. And so this election is very important, and I want our votes to count. Otherwise, what are we doing? I mean,
Right.
if we don't have a vote, we are not protected, and we can't ever change anything. And so that's my goal, and I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, except for every day I'm just going to fight it and hope that I can grow momentum and spread the word. And someone knows somebody.
Right.
All of us know somebody that can make it happen. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I agree with you that the voting, it should be fair and everybody should have a voice. So I agree with you 100% on that. And like I said, I admire that you are persisting with this and having the tenacity to keep pushing through. It is, you can't make change if you don't push through. So I agree with you 100% on that. So way to go. So I want to switch gears on you. We're going to make this a little more fun for you. I think now if we can get on some fun stuff. I always love doing this. I call these the rapid fire, and it's just, I want to let our audience get to know you a little bit outside of what you're doing every day so that, I think the whole podcast for me is really about showing people that everyday ordinary people make extraordinary decisions in their lives to live extraordinary lives. So that's what this is all about for me. And I always like to, at the same time, show these people that, hey, we all do the same thing. We get up and eat breakfast in the morning and function like everybody else, right? So with that, I want to ask you, when you're not, campaigning and fighting all the fight and doing what you need to do, what else do you like to do for fun?
I used to love to go to the movies when there was a good movie, right? I loved going and sitting in the seat. I loved the popcorn. I like everything being dark. I like the surround sound, that was definitely like my favorite date night. And I would even go alone, right?
Yeah.
So I loved going to the movies. What else? I do love to work out in the yard. Kind of dorky, but just plant plants and weed the yard. And I love the smell of fresh cut grass and a brand new fence. And I don't know. I like to be outside. Yeah. If you ask me if I'd rather clean a toilet or dig a ditch, I'd rather dig a ditch.
You're going to dig the ditch. I might be with you on that too. I can pass up on the toilet. that could be somebody else's job.
Work outside than inside. Yeah.
Well, it's good. You get some vitamin D and you're out in the fresh air. You can't go wrong doing that. I'm with you on that 100%. I'm an outdoor person too. Like, we're on this whole thing right now, and we walk the dogs in the morning. Sometimes we run with them in the morning, and then they've somehow convinced us we got to take them back out at night. So now we're walking again at night. It's like every day now I come home, get in there, and the dogs are like waiting to go out again. So I'm with you on the outdoor part. All right. And so let's see, cat or dog person?
Dog, but I'm not really a pet person. I mean, we have a dog, which is terrible. We have a dog, but it's a family dog. For me, a pet is like another responsibility, and I take responsibilities very seriously. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, okay, who's going to feed the dog? Who's going to walk the dog? Who's going to play with the dog? Whose turn is it? Who's going to do it? So it's just, I don't know. It's terrible, but it's just something else I have to do. But if I had to pick one, a dog.
I love the honesty. It's all good. And it is. That's why they always joke about, like when people get married, they're like, try a dog out before you have kids, because, they're a responsibility. It's like having a kid, in my house, they are like having kids. I'm not kidding. Like, they fight. I have two of them. I have a Catahoula and a pit bull, and they fight all the time. Like, not in a bad way, but just antagonizing each other. And I have this red squirt bottle that I have to run around with, and I just go, do I need to get my water? Do I need to get and it's like they know. You better stop fighting, the water's coming. So yeah. I'm with you 100%. All right. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food. Like, I'm one of those comfort food people, like casseroles, like the kind of dish that everything's together, like shepherd's pie or chicken pot pie, like where you get the whole thing in the one pot.
So do you make casseroles then for dinner? Is that what you do mostly? Okay, because it's so funny. I grew up so when I was growing up, my mom would like shepherd's pie. My mom would make shepherd's pie. To be honest, I have not had shepherd's pie in like probably 25 years. No kidding. So my mom would make this, but my dad did not like any of his food touching. Like, nothing could be like together. So my mom would make it. My dad would be like, what is this? And so then I don't know, I guess I just got this whole thing where I don't like casseroles anymore. So I never hardly make them. Well, now my husband grew up on a farm in Montana where they eat pancakes and casseroles. So then I get married. Now he's making all these. He's like working, part in the office, and then it's like alternating every other week. And so he went to Montana a couple weeks ago and came home with all this like giant zucchini. I'm talking like a ton of zucchini. So we had like zucchini lasagna, zucchini masak. Yeah, it was like zucchini. It was all these casseroles and all this stuff with zucchini. I was like, okay, can we just stop with the casseroles and stop with the zucchini? Like, I'm done.
But I'm not a picky eater, so I like almost anything.
That's awesome.
To be honest. Yeah.
Well, see, if you weren't married, I would say you're a good date then, because nobody'd have to worry about it, right?
Right.
You're not picky about anything. That's awesome. It's awesome. All right. And so, fun question: if you were on and this is probably gonna make you think for me. If you were on a deserted island and you could only have one, now provided your food, your staples, all that stuff's taken care of, but if you could only have one item with you, what would you bring?
The Bible, of course. But okay, so besides the Bible, because that's sort of like the Sunday school answer. What would I bring?
I like that.
Can I bring a person?
Bring a person? Is that what you said? Bring a person? You can bring a person, I guess, if you want.
I would bring my sister. I have a sister that's only a year younger than me, and we're very different, but very similar also. And she makes me laugh, and she's a hard worker, and she's super reliable. I don't know.
You guys would be like, Taryn, you might have that island all organized. Like everybody would be like y'all be getting off that island.
Yes.
Y'all be figuring out how to get off of it. I love that. All right. And so my last final question I want to ask you. If you could be any superhero or character for a day, what would you pick?
Okay, so I've sort of thought about this question before. I definitely I want a superhero talent or whatever. What's it called? What's that called?
Like a superpower?
A superpower. I want to be able to transport. So be here and then be like, oh, I need to be downtown, and I just like transport there.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Jumper,
yeah.
the movie Jumper. It's old, but anyway. So I don't know if any of the superheroes do that, but I want to be able to transport.
You can be
Wonder Woman.
Like you could be your own character. You could just make them all up. It worked. The transporting would be good because you could bypass traffic, everything. You could just be like, it'd be like, well, and I'm thinking of about I Dream of Jeannie right now. You could just be like, blink your eyes and you get wherever you need to go.
Yeah, don't want to be able to read people's minds. That's scary.
Yeah, you don't want that. You just want to be able to transport.
I don't want to be able to see through walls. You might see things you don't want to see.
I'm with you on that.
I don't want to be able to fly. That feels scary, even though you can fly, but that's too scary. No, I just want to transport from A to B.
You just want to land there. You don't even have the transport part. You just get there.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jennifer, so if our audience wanted to learn a little bit more about what you've got going on and what's coming up, where do we send them?
So my Facebook page is a great place to kind of follow me. I try to keep everybody updated, and it's just Jennifer Fleck. All my posts are public. I also have a campaign page, but they're both identical, essentially. And then my website I will post videos there for people who aren't on social media. And my petition is linked there if people wanted to know more details about the allegations against Travis County. And I also post videos on YouTube. So I'm trying to put things out there for anybody who, I know there's still people who don't do social media. And
right.
So that's why I put it on the website and YouTube. So anyway, everything is under Jennifer Fleck.
Awesome. Yes, you have to cover your bases because I always say you have to meet people where they are, and they're all over. I mean, you've got people that are on Facebook, you got people that will never touch Facebook, but they'll get on a website. So I agree with you on that. And we are scrolling that on the screen. And when this goes out, we'll make sure that we get you tagged and get all of the right information on there so people can come and check you out. So with that, I want to say to you, thanks so much for jumping on here, giving us a little bit of information about what you're doing and, all of that great stuff that you got going on. And I know it's hard and difficult, but I want to, encourage you to keep doing what you're doing because people need you. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of sitting back and they wait for those people that can come up and have a voice for them. So that's how you create change, right? So I admire you for that. So keep going, doing what you're doing and be strong. And we're going to keep following you and seeing what's happening with you. So with that, I do want to say to our listeners, of course, if you love our podcast, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook because we can't do this without you, and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. And with that, I want to leave you guys with a final thought. I got to find my papers here. I got 100 notes going. All right. Look for solutions instead of being difficult. Be more thoughtful instead of allowing anger to burn you out. Look at things from a different perspective. Embrace change. Look out for opportunities, and you will feel much more in control. This just fits kind of today, doesn't it? That was not planned, but it fits kind of with what's going on. That's by Steve Backley, by the way. All right. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.